violent film. My film has a couple of violent acts in it. My film is a real film in that fact that the violence that does happen in it seems real because there is so much character development involved.
He got a call from this guy named Bone who said, "We need to meet." He said, "Look, I'm a businessman. I don't care about your movie, but you're shooting, 200 yards from the jungle. It will take nothing for some 14-year-old kid to earn his stripes to go, drive his car by and try to pop Ice Cube."
This movie was a reality. They couldn't connect with the emotion on screen.
People in the neighborhood would even care about Boyz N The Hood. I knew everybody on my street would love it. Hollywood, not so sure.
It was the real South, not, this is like Central Florida, so we're talking about people who are not even used to movie crews at all, and we shot in a swamp.
Shit just goes on and on,
Time wanted to be paid, it's like we shoot a movie in our hood, give us some money.
Beat your ass 3 times already. That's just 1 time, nigga, let's play again.
At the age of 6, and this is real, one man used me as a body shield, while another man shot and nearly killed the kid. Y'all see why my chair is supported by wheels. At first, I responded like everyone else.
We walked out of the theater, we got to the car, we get in the car, we're going down the hill, and as we're going down the hill, we see all these police cars going up the hill.
When Boyz N The Hood dropped, it hit hard, but one raw, uncut scene got it yanked off TV for good. John Singleton wasn't holding back at all. That burger joint scene went too far, and before anyone knew it, the tension from the movie had spilled into real life.
Whenever something hits close to home, it's gonna evoke some type of emotion.
Because it was their reality.
We want to just give you some money and we'll have somebody else do this film. I said, well, then we have to end this meeting. They said, so we hear you want to direct this movie. And I said, I'm going to direct this film. And they said, well, why do you think you can direct this film? And I said, because I was born to direct. I was the youngest person ever and the first African-American to be nominated for Best Director. And I beat Orson Welles out by a year.
Even Ice Cube got caught up in the chaos. Singleton just wanted to show the truth about life in the hood, while Columbia Pictures only cared about making a hit. The crazy part? That burger stand scene was filmed just blocks from real shootings. 3 Bloods in red get dropped mid-bite. Silence for a second, then boom, bullets flying, bodies dropping, and Hollywood execs safe in their offices had no clue what kind of storm they'd just set off. It was supposed to be just another powerful scene, but for the people in that hood, it felt way too real. It wasn't just a movie anymore. It felt like a challenge. Right before filming, a Bloods leader named Clay Shaheed Sloan, better known as Bone, pulled the producer aside at a local cafe and warned him straight up, "I know you're about to shoot that scene where Ice Cube kills 3 Bloods. That's right across from the jungle. Some 14-year-old trying to earn stripes might try to pop Ice Cube for real." That's when it hit them. This wasn't acting anymore. They were filming on real turf, surrounded by real danger and real tension. John Singleton, just 23 at the time, had to make a call. Play it safe for the studio or keep it raw and risky. He chose to keep it real, but first, he made peace with the streets. They hired real gang members as extras, not just for authenticity, but to keep things calm. If they were part of the scene, they wouldn't turn against it.
And I was used as a shield, so that's how I ended up getting shot. February the 12th.
Wow.
And then February the 14th, 2 days later, my father committed suicide.
You get busted for attempting to purchase 200 pounds of marijuana in, I guess, Arizona?
Yeah.
Wait a minute, hey, man, this family business. Hey, man, hey.
Then came the heavy security, guards on rooftops, armed patrols, and word spreading fast through the hood that the movie was neutral. Still, the tension was thick. Everyone could feel it. Singleton later said the whole set was nervous, from the actors to the crew, like something could pop off any second. Back at Columbia Pictures, the execs were panicking. Rumors spread that someone might get hurt, and they told Singleton to cut the scene, even stop filming completely. But he wouldn't back down. He kept it raw. No cuts, no edits, just that burger stand, 3 lives gone, and real pain on film. It was too real, and that's when the chaos started. Just days after Boyz N The Hood dropped, a man was shot dead in a Chicago theater before the movie hit halfway. In Minneapolis, another fight broke out after a late showing. 2 people ended up bleeding on the ground, tickets still in their pockets. From Philly to Atlanta to LA, it kept happening. Theaters turning into war zones. Dozens got hurt, not because of the movie, but because of the energy it carried. It was too close to home, too real, like the violence had jumped right off the screen. Theaters moved fast. Some stopped showing Boyz N The Hood completely. Others brought in metal detectors, bag checks, and cops standing under the bright lights outside. People started asking, are we watching a movie or walking into a setup? Then the media swooped in, pointing fingers everywhere. Blame Ice Cube, blame John Singleton, blame the truth for being too raw and too real. Some said the film was dangerous, others said it was pure genius. But everyone agreed. Boyz N The Hood hit a deep nerve America wasn't ready to face. At a press conference, Singleton spoke from the heart. My heart goes out to the families of the people that were hurt. I'm very disappointed because that's not what my film is about. It's about family, love, and friendship. He stood firm. His movie didn't cause the violence. The issues were already there long before he started filming. And he called out the press for twisting the story just to make noise. Singleton spoke up loud and clear. He said reporters only blow up stories about violence when it's a movie by a black director, but stay silent when it happens with others. Plenty of movies have wild stuff happen and no one reports it, he said. But when my film drops, it's everywhere. That's artistic racism. He knew the truth. People weren't reacting to fiction. They were reacting to real life. What they saw on screen was what they already lived. The shootings in theaters weren't caused by the movie. They proved the message it was showing all along. Critic Roger Ebert saw it differently. He praised Boyz N The Hood for being raw, emotional, and powerful, but he called out Columbia Pictures for messing up the marketing. He said the studio turned a serious story into a flashy spectacle. They shouted fire in a crowded theater, Ebert wrote, not because it was burning, but because they thought it would sell tickets. The trailers hyped up guns and cars instead of showing the truth. Trey, Doughboy, and their struggle to survive. The wild part? The film wasn't about glorifying violence at all. It was about pain, loss, and what real life in the hood takes from you. Ricky wasn't just a character. He was every young black man trying to break free but never making it out. And Doughboy's final words weren't a flex. They were a funeral speech. Shit just goes on and on, you know. Once the movie dropped, that message got lost in all the noise. Critics argued whether Boyz N The Hood caused violence or exposed it, and parents debated if their kids should even watch it. Politicians turned it into talking points on TV, but for the people living that reality, the truth was clear. The film wasn't the fire, it was the smoke. The country had been burning long before those theater lights went dark. And even behind the scenes, the danger never left. While filming in the jungle, Ice Cube almost got caught up in a real situation. Word spread that he was on set, and that alone stirred things up. By then, Cube wasn't just that dude from NWA. He was an icon, the face of West Coast rebellion and power. In a place like the jungle, that fame was risky, not out of hate, but out of clout. Taking down someone like Cube could earn instant street respect. One day, it nearly went bad. A local kid started beefing with one of Cube's crew, and it started with words. But the energy shifted fast. People started circling up, voices rising, hands drifting toward waistbands. It was about to get ugly. This wasn't a movie anymore. This was real life unfolding right there on set. Just before it exploded, a few gang leaders from the area stepped in. They knew what was at stake. This film was their truth, their story on screen, and they weren't about to let some street beef ruin that. They pulled the young ones aside and told them to chill, and they made it clear Ice Cube was off limits. That move probably saved a life that day. Even after that close call, Cube didn't back off. He kept showing up, kept filming, even knowing people were watching him, not just as an actor, but as a symbol. He didn't show fear, didn't fold under pressure, and that's exactly why his performance hit so hard. He wasn't acting like Doughboy. He was Doughboy. Cube knew that pain, that weight, that world. Every line he said came straight from real life. Boyz N The Hood wasn't made on some Hollywood backlot. It was filmed in real neighborhoods with real people and real danger all around. Even the extras weren't Hollywood types. They were part of the story itself, and they weren't Hollywood extras. They were locals who lived that life for real. That's why Boyz N The Hood had that raw, unfiltered energy that still hits deep today. Later, Ice Cube admitted there were tense moments on set, but he never let fear take over. For him, it wasn't just acting. It was about honoring the story, even if it meant putting himself at risk. But not everyone had Cube's protection or mindset. Some of the younger cast members faced real struggles after the movie blew up. Take Jermaine Hopkins, the guy who played Dookie, always posted up with that pacifier in his mouth. After Boyz N The Hood, Jermaine stayed busy for a while, even landing a role in Juice alongside Tupac. But behind the scenes, life got rough. Years later, in 2011, he got caught trying to buy 200 pounds of weed from an undercover cop. He only served 30 days, but his reputation took a hit. It showed how hard it was for some of these young actors to keep it together after fame hit. And Jermaine wasn't the only one. Others from the cast faced addiction, legal trouble, or just faded out completely. Most came from the same tough streets the movie was built on. For a lot of the cast, Boyz N The Hood wasn't just a movie. It was their real life on screen. When the camera stopped rolling, they went right back to the same struggles, only now with a little fame and barely any help. That's what made the film hit so hard. It felt real because it was real. Some had already lost friends to gun violence. Others came from rough homes, and when Hollywood left, it didn't look back. The movie got praise and awards, but the people behind it didn't always share that success. One of the most powerful stories came from Reggie Green, who played Chris, Doughboy's homie in a wheelchair after being shot. What most didn't know was Reggie wasn't acting. He was really paralyzed in real life. That truth made the film different, raw, painful, and honest. Reggie's story showed exactly what Singleton wanted people to see, how fast life can change in the streets. He was just 6 years old when he got shot growing up in Richmond, California. Reggie's story was heartbreaking from the start. He got caught in the middle of a shootout between two neighbors. One of them grabbed him and used him as a human shield, and a stray bullet hit him, paralyzing him from the waist down. His life changed forever that day. Casting Reggie wasn't just about acting. It was about showing the real side of life in places like South Central. And he wasn't new to Hollywood either. He'd been acting since he was 13, appearing in shows like Different Strokes, Highway to Heaven, and Aftermath before landing his role in Boyz N The Hood. He brought both talent and truth, not just as an actor, but as someone who had lived that pain. But what made his story even harder was what happened right after. Just 2 days after he was shot, Reggie's father died by suicide. At 6 years old, he lost both his ability to walk and his dad on the same day. Still, he didn't let it break him. Reggie turned his pain into purpose, later becoming a motivational speaker, using his story to lift up young people fighting their own battles. And before all the awards and fame, Boyz N The Hood almost didn't even get made. Not because of the violence, but because of John Singleton himself. He was only 23, no Hollywood clout, no big movies, just a UCLA student with a script that felt more like a mission than a movie. When John Singleton walked into Columbia Pictures, he wasn't following Hollywood's playbook. Back then, studios bought scripts from new writers and handed them off to veteran directors they trusted with the cash and control. They loved Boyz N The Hood, but told him someone else would direct, and even offered him money for the rights. Most young writers would have taken the deal, but not Singleton. He looked the exec straight in the eye and said, "If I can't direct it, you're not getting it." That wasn't arrogance. It was conviction. He knew this story had to come from someone who lived it, someone who understood the struggle, the loss, and the love in South Central. To Hollywood, it was just another urban drama, but to Singleton, it was his world. He'd seen it all. Friends dying young, kids getting lost in the system, and families fighting to survive every single day. Singleton wasn't imagining those scenes. He was remembering them. He knew no outsider could tell that story right. The studio tried to push back, saying he was too young and untested, but Singleton stood firm. He wasn't begging. He was bringing something real. In the end, Columbia took the risk. That decision changed movie history. Singleton didn't just direct Boyz N The Hood, he lived it. Every scene, every line, every emotion came straight from his world. The raw camera work, the real dialogue, the slow pace that made you feel the block, all of it was his vision. The movie wasn't flashy or fake. It told the truth, and people felt it. When it dropped, it hit like an earthquake. Folks finally saw their own lives on screen, and everyone else had to face the truth they'd ignored. Then came history. John Singleton became the youngest and first black director ever nominated for an Oscar. It wasn't just an award, it was a door opening for every young black storyteller after him. And to think, it all started with one 23-year-old who refused to let Hollywood take his story away. That one act of defiance turned a movie into a movement. John Singleton wasn't just the director of Boyz N The Hood, he was the hood, and he made sure the world saw the truth, unfiltered and real. When the film dropped in 1991, it hit different. It wasn't just another street movie, it was a message. Even decades later, it's still one of the rawest and most powerful stories about growing up black in America. But what most people don't know is it almost never made it out. From day one, it faced pushback. Theaters had violent incidents during screenings, and the media twisted it, calling it dangerous, blaming the film instead of the real problems. Some cities even banned it outright. Then came one scene, so raw, so real, that it nearly got the whole movie shut down. But Singleton stood his ground because he knew this story had to be told. Boyz N The Hood wasn't just about pain. It was about life, love, and hope in the very neighborhoods everyone else called dangerous. Don't forget to like, drop a comment, and subscribe. I'll catch you on the next one.